Happy 1 week away from the STEM competition. I am so excited to have everyone on the VCS campus to celebrate our students' accomplishments in STEM. So most of you know me, but for our visitors, my name is Taylor Maynor. I'm the STEM coordinator for VCS. The intention of this video is to describe the itinerary and the specific challenges so that our volunteers feel confident on Saturday morning. So our challenges will be set up and ready to go by 8 a.m. on Saturday. So you, the volunteers, should arrive by 8 a.m. in order to do the following. Number 1, get your t-shirt if you have not done so already. So obviously our visitors will have to pick up their t-shirts, and this will be in the Student Center. Number 2, enjoy some breakfast in the Student Center. We really want to thank you for helping out the STEM competition from both NVCA, the North Valley Christian Academy, our visiting school, and our VCS volunteers. And number 3 is going to be to gather your necessary materials. So I will provide to you clipboards, timers, score sheets, everything you need, and you can pick that all up in the Student Center. So if you arrive at 8 a.m., that will give you time to get acclimated, get everything you need, and be ready to go. So we will be hosting 4 challenges. The Slingshot challenge will be in the courtyard. The glider will be in the gym. We will have robotics in the STEM 33, our normal robotics room, and we'll have IT coding in room 28. You will notice that we only have 1 team competing in each of the robotics and the IT challenges. So we encourage you to watch as many challenges as possible. So if you're not judging at the time, please go and support all of our student participants and our coaches. You will notice that the Slingshot and glider challenges are set up in 2 different columns, and this is because teams will be rotating. So team 1 will hand their EDN, their engineering design notebook, and that can be in digital or physical form, to the EDN judge. As the EDN judge is scoring the rubric, the team will then proceed to the spec check and interview judge. When the team has completed their spec check and interview, team 1 will then proceed to the performance section of the challenge. At this time, team 2 will step up, hand over their EDN to the EDN judge, and they will also start their spec check and interview. So each judge will repeat the same responsibilities for all of the teams. The idea is to have the EDNs and interviews going on at the same time as another team's performance, as to maximize our efficiency and make sure we're moving through the teams. At the end of the itinerary, you will notice that there is a 15-minute buffer kind of built into our schedule. This is to allow our lead judges to complete the final scoring and determine first, second, and third for each of the challenges. There are time limits on the interviews and performances, so I really do hope to stay on time as closely as possible. Awards will be held in Barnes Hall. This shouldn't take too long considering we don't have a million teams participating. And then participants and judges are going to be dismissed from there. So the objective of the glider challenge is to launch a glider with a rubber band from a table towards a target. So the closer the glider lands to the target, the higher the score. A few extra rules to remember is that the glider must only use a rubber band to launch, and students are not allowed to stand on the table. So this challenge will take place in the gym. Alrighty, so this part of the video is for our engineering design notebook, or EDN judges. So we have one of those for each of the challenges. So students are required to submit an engineering design notebook. The purpose of this is to ensure that the students have properly documented their work, justified their decisions, and used the engineering design process. The EDN rubric is the most detailed of all the rubrics, so it kind of walks you through exactly what is to be expected on or in the engineering design notebooks. And the great thing is the students have also had access to these rubrics, so they know what they're supposed to include. I highly encourage the EDN judges to review their rubric at least a few times before arriving to the competition, so that you're familiar with it and that when you're handed that EDN, you're ready to judge it fairly. Remember that a higher score is better, and the maximum score is going to be 25. The first thing that the spec check and interview judge is in charge of is ensuring that the team is qualified to compete. So as you see on the rubric, you must ensure that the team has turned in an EDN and mark yes or no. You must also check the size constraints of the glider. So you will be provided a 1 meter by 1 meter square, and the glider must not hang off the edge at all. So mark yes if the glider fits within the size constraint and no if it is too large. Lastly, the glider must only use approved materials, so the students may not include pre-made kits, propulsion systems, or motors for mechanical movement. The only launch device can be a rubber band. The glider must also have some sort of wing structure. If all of these things are true, then you will mark yes on the rubric. If not, you will mark no. I also want to mention that if either one of the second two, if it's too big or it does not use approved materials, the glider may not compete. So you must inform the students that they may not compete and they may not go on to the performance part of the competition. So you will also be conducting the interview. So first, I want you to mark if the minimum number of teammates are present. 1 for yes and 0 for no. The interview is timed, so start your timer and inform your students when you start it. The rest of the interview requirements are detailed on the rubric. You should review the rubric carefully before arriving on the day of the competition so that you're ready to judge the students fairly. 0 indicates that aspect of the rubric was not present. If they did touch on that aspect of the rubric, then the scores will range from 1 to 5, with 5 being the best. Question and answer is encouraged from the judge, but please keep in mind the time limit as to allow the students the opportunity to touch on every required aspect of the interview. The measurement and recorder timer judge will work closely together to score the performance rubric. The first thing the judges should do is observe the overall aesthetic and design before any launches are completed by the team. Both judges can determine the score from 0 to 4, 4 being the best, and mark it on number 4 of both launch 1 and launch 2 on the rubric. The overall aesthetics and design will not change between launches. Both judges will then walk to the target area. The recorder and timer judge will set the timer and announce when they start it. Students may not stand on the table. After the glider has come to a complete stop from its initial launch, you will determine if the glider is still carrying the 2 nickels. These may be attached in any way the team wants, so there are no restrictions. If the nickels are attached to the glider after landing, you should mark 20 for yes on the rubric. If they are not attached, you will mark 0 for no. Next, check the glider to see if it has landed within the 10 by 10 box that is marked on the floor of the gym. If the majority, at least half, of the glider is within the box, you should mark 20 for yes, and if not, then 0 for no. This is going to be via teamwork for the measurement and recorder timer judge. So the recorder timer judge will have the clipboard and the rubric in front of them, and the measurement judge is going to be the main person that is reporting these things to the recorder and timer. If the glider did land within the box, then you will measure the distance from the center of the X to the closest point of the glider in inches. The recorder will then mark down the distance. This will later then be divided by 1,000 to create the distance score. At the end, if the team completed both launches within 10 minutes, you will mark 3 for yes on both launch 1 and launch 2. And if they did not complete both launches within 10 minutes, then you will mark 0 for no. The team may launch twice and no more times. There is no practice. In fact, even if the team has a failed launch and the glider doesn't hardly move or it falls straight to the floor, unfortunately, that still counts as a launch, and you will have to mark the rubrics appropriately. Remember that 2 rows of the launches will look exactly the same. The overall aesthetic and design will be the same for both launches. The time will also be the same for both launches. The measurement judge will measure and announce the results to the recorder timer judge. The recorder's main job is to ensure everything is documented accurately and the performance is timed. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I trust that you will come to the competition on Saturday morning having reviewed your materials and ready to go. If you have any questions about your responsibilities or about the schedule of the day or anything related to this event, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at tadams, TADAMS, at valleychristianaz.org. Thank you, and I can't wait to see you all next week.